Assalamualaikum everyone. It's good to see so many Muslims. You know, where I grew up, I was the only Muslim in my entire school. Raise your hand if you guys are the only Muslim in our entire school district. Alright, I see it. And you know, the crazy thing about growing up in that sort of environment, right, all my friends are Muslims. Makes sense. And my mom, she always asked me, you know, you ever feel like tempted, all these haram activities that they're doing? A lot of my friends would be like drinking alcohol, right? They'd be disrespecting their parents. They'd be, you know, going on dates. And my mom would ask me like, you know, it must be hard. It must be difficult being surrounded by all this fitna. You might want to like be like that. I was like, nah. If you've ever seen the stuff that happens to these kids, you don't want to do any of it. And so I have a couple stories. You know, different friends I had throughout my life and the different haram activities they're engaging in. And it's pretty interesting to look back on it. So the first friend I'm talking about, his name is Will. And the thing about Will is, so we're all in Oregon, right? Growing up, small town, we live in the forest, and there's nothing to do except go hiking. So me and Will are backpacking in Yellowstone, and I'm really getting to know this guy. He's telling me all these crazy stories about his favorite hobby, psychedelics. You know, actually, he's telling me, he's like, son, I know you probably won't do this, but just let me tell you how to do it, right? You have to be safe. And so he's telling me about how to trip on acid. And the important thing about tripping on acid is that you need what's called a trip sitter. So basically, the way that Will used to do it is he'd go in the car, right, like he'd be in the back seat, like taking the drugs, and then one of his friends would be driving him around. And the job of his friend is just to make sure everything's chill, right, everything's like taken care of. So Will can be in the back, you know, like trying to find enlightenment, and his friend is just making sure he's driving around town, going in the forest, whatever. But, so the problem with Will was, you know, most of his friends were also like drug users, and they're not necessarily, you know, most responsible people. So one time he was on a trip, right? He was like, I don't know how many milligrams, he was like in deep, he's in the car, and his friend is getting pretty hungry, right? It's like 11 p.m. or whatever. So he switches the plan, decides to like stop at McDonald's. McDonald's drive-thru is working though, so he parks in the parking lot. He's like, Will, do not leave this car. So he goes to McDonald's, and of course Will is on acid, so the first thing he does is he leaves the car. And he goes, you know, walking into McDonald's like 11:30 p.m., and me, you know, alhamdulillah, 100% drug-free. But even then, but even for me, right, the McDonald's at midnight is an interesting experience. And so Will's going in, and all of a sudden, like, the lights, like, smell bad, all right? The floors are talking to him, and the french fries are, like, begging for their lives. So Will's kind of having a bit of a issue, right? Or a bit of a panic attack in McDonald's on acid. But things get worse, because he turns the corner, and who else does he see but Ronald McDonald? I'm pretty sure Ronald McDonald, and that's right, not on drugs. So that's what Will is seeing. And so he sees this giant dude, you know, red lips, like red hair, all the big clown stuff, and he's like, he's terrified, he's gonna run. So he goes to the first place of safety he finds, right? He jumps into this plastic purple tube, he's like crawling up, and then boom! He's on top, he's in this like box, and he's shouting, "Wait, let me out, let me out, let me out!" And so, if you happen to be a McDonald's employee at this location on this day, what you find is a very tall, muscular man, this heated crew, right? Very, very like muscular, big guy, tripping on acid in your play place, trying to let me out. And they're like, wait, just like calm down, just like take the slide. This guy's so confused. He's like, where, like, who's the slide? Like, why is this happening? And then, but you know, somehow, like finds a way, you know, puts his legs in, like he goes down the pink slide, and it's actually kind of fun. So he's like, and you know, good for Will. He makes it out of the pig place in one piece. He makes it out of McDonald's. You know, he finishes his acid trip, whatever. But when we were sitting there, right in the tent, it's been like 12 miles of hiking, like we saw a couple bison, we saw like bear footprints, good day. But I'm pretty tired, and I'm laying there, right, on my sleeping bag, got my headlamp on, right, I'm reading some Quran, and but Will was out there, and he's like, I thought he kind of fell asleep, but he's actually awake. And he starts telling me, he's like, son, I always like take these psychedelics, and I always think, every time I'm like, on the trip, like I feel like I can just reach out and touch something. Like there's some message, like there's some sort of guidance. Like I'm so close to getting it. But then every time I come down, I'm just as lost as I ever was. And I don't know how to find the guidance, and I don't know how to live my life. And I don't know what to say to that, so I just went back to reading my Quran. So, Will's a pretty interesting guy. But after backpacking in Yellowstone, I decided to go to Alaska. It's a common thing Oregonians do, right? So I'm on the ferry crossing the Gulf of Alaska, and this is like winter time. You've got the huge waves, right? This ferry is giant. It's not like you guys are thinking of like a boat. It's like a ship, right? Like it's as big as this whole building. And I'm in there, and it's like night or something. And I'm trying to go to the bathroom. And I'm falling over the waves, all that. But I see this interesting guy. He's dressed very like scrappy sort of dress, a very gray, like kind of like, it's like the clothing's been through a lot. And I noticed he's got like a lot of like gray hair, very like wrinkled, old looking. His eyes, you can tell like they ain't 2020, right? Like there's something with his eyes. He looks a little confused. So, I think maybe he's lost. I go up to him and I ask, hey, like my name's Hassan, like what's your name? And he's like, Hobo Shoestring. I was like, Hobo Shoestring? He's like, yeah, I'm a hobo. And so I'm okay, so I go to shake his hand, but the thing is, his hand only has 2 fingers. So I don't know how to shake a hand with only 2 fingers, and obviously this guy's he understands, I'm a little confused, so it's like, let me tell you, yeah, so, why is my name Hobo Shoestring? Well, because for the last 40 years, this guy's kind of old, and for the last 40, 50 years, I've been jumping on trains. I've been traveling across America and Canada. Like I'm always trying to find that new adventure. I was trying to find a new place. At one time, I was on a train in Iowa, and I went to sleep. I woke up in Idaho. This dude like pulled me off the train, like sits these dogs on me. This crazy man, like I fight it off when I lose 3 of my fingers. And I'm just thinking like, wow, like subhanAllah, like that's crazy. One time I was going for a run and a dog started barking at me, and I thought that was a near-death experience. So this guy. Very, very interesting guy, right? And I'm on this ferry for 9 days, so I get to know him pretty well. And we're sitting there, one day, it's like late at night, like we can actually see Aurora Borealis, really cool. And we're there, and he's telling me about this interesting story. Because one thing he's very particular about is he's not a hobo out of necessity, he's a hobo out of choice. And in fact, he actually had an apartment in Tennessee, and he shared this apartment with his girlfriend for 2 years. And he's talking about how, he's actually like happy, like this is the first time he felt he could trust someone, that he could be in one place, settle down, kind of not be chasing after the thrill. Until an incident occurs, which is that his girlfriend comes up to him one day and tells him actually, I want to get married. Right, like I want us to get married. Like I want to start a family with you. And all of a sudden, Mr. Hobo Shoestring, he can't handle it. So that night, he packs his bags and boom, he's gone. Never seen the apartment, never seen the girlfriend. He's out of there. Astaghfirullah. And he's telling me. He's like a son, right? He said he's trying to find a place where he can be at home. And he's trying to find people that he can really connect to. He can like give something too, but every time he's with someone in a location, in a town, he's chafing. And he wants to be going. He can't sit in one place. He doesn't know what's the issue. Right? And so I was out there like looking at the stars, whatever. Like, I was reading my Quran, and he's telling me all this. He's telling me how he feels so confused. Me, I don't know what to say. So I just go back to reading my Quran. But of course, I finally do get to Alaska. And there's a lot of crazy stuff in Alaska. I mean, you got the polar bears, you got the ice caps. But me, I was working on a flower farm. The thing about this flower farm, the arrangement was that me and all the workers would be working 6 days a week. And in exchange, the flower farm would give us a place to stay and some food. Which doesn't seem that fair looking back on it, but that's what it was. And so we're out there, right, and I'm trying to fill my days while I'm working a lot. Other than that, I'm looking at the ocean, right? I'm like, trying to like engage in the wilderness or whatever. But there's this other girl there too. And I know she's always on her phone, right? She's always getting these notifications or messages, things like that. And I'm wondering, like, what's up? Like, she like that popular or something? But then she asks her, she tells me, and she's using this app. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it. It's called Tinder. I always thought I got a lot of attention from the opposite sex. But this girl, I don't know, she was getting notification after notification. Every single day, she spent like half an hour just rejecting people. It's crazy. But she found one guy. She found one guy that she said, she was really interested in. His name was James. He was like a tree farmer living on the other mountain. He apparently had like a really good beard or something. And so she asked us, right, can we take the van? Can we like drop her off, at this dude's cabin on the other mountain? So like, sure, I guess a normal thing to do. I was driving there, right, we drop her off at this like cabin. Like, wait a minute. Never met this guy. He's a tree farmer, so he's got an axe. And lives alone in a cabin in Alaska. Whoa, were you just accomplices to a murder? But fortunately, she doesn't die. She actually makes it back. She has a pretty great time. And she's telling us, oh man, this James guy is so great, right? Like, she's like the love of her life and all that. And through the rest of our season at this farm, she keeps on, like going out on him, all these things, like she's super happy, talking she's so great. One time even, she comes back with this like giant bag of salmon. It's like, where'd you get that from? Well, apparently in Alaska, if you want to show someone, that you love them, you give them salmon. And I'm sitting there like, I can get behind this too. Like, I like salmon. If downloading Tinder and can give me free salmon, I don't know. Stop for a while. But Allah protected me. He protected me. I didn't download Tinder. I actually, the problem was though, that these sorts of things, they didn't really tend to last. For her. And it got to the point, we're at the end of the season, at the end of the contract, and we're kind of thinking about, what we're going to do next, right? Going back home. And this girl, she comes back one day, and she's just crying. She's just bawling, she's like totally lost. She's like, what happened? And then she tells us, she's telling me, right? She's telling me in the kitchen, she's saying, like, James said that we could be together, back in the mainland. He's saying that there's like something serious. He's going to Chicago, I'm going to LA, but James said that we could really build something together. And she said she could handle it. So she just said, no, I hate you, I don't like you anyway, and she left. And she's telling me, she's telling me she's got this problem. She's always trying to find this sort of happiness. She's always trying to find someone that she can love and be loved by. And she's taking all these routes, she's going down all these paths, putting all this work, but it just doesn't seem to pan out. It seems like the more she tries, the more that she does this, the more alone that she feels. And personally, I don't know what to say. So, I just keep on reading my Quran. Thank you. Sorry.